자, 시작할게요.
쉽어요.
슛!
쉬워요.
레디! 카메라!
셋.
액션!
문자를
액션!
Squid Game came to an end, but still, there are new revelations every day that we find out about this amazing series. This week, the show's production released new behind-the-scenes moments showing how different scenes were made. Plus, we got to learn more secrets behind the series. Today, I'll tell you all the important details that you might have missed, and you'll also get to see a different side of the cast you didn't see on screen. In this scene, we can see actor Wee Ha-jun, who plays Detective Jun-ho. For his scuba diving scenes in the show, they didn't need to use a stuntman to perform the sequence. That's because Ha-jun actually knows how to dive. However, the actor mentioned that despite having no issues with the action scenes, the diving part was initially difficult for him because he had a phobia of water. For that reason, he had to undergo special training to overcome his fear and still manage to deliver a powerful performance.
오징어 게임 새로운 시즌 정말 더 스펙타클하고 더 재밌으니까 많이 기대해 주시고 많이 사랑해 주세요. 감사합니다.
Now, Season 3 brought some unexpected cameos. For instance, Thanos came back as Min-soo's hallucination during the 6th game. Also, Season 3 brought back Kang Se-byuk, one of the 3 finalists from Season 1. Many fans assumed the show reused her old footage since she appears in a familiar setting with similar lines. But in fact, the actress returned to film this new scene specifically for Season 3.
그러지 마, 아저씨. 그런 사람 아니잖아.
The moment is a memory from Gi-hun, where she reminds him not to kill, a turning point that helps him resist violence later in the season.
안녕하세요. 오징어 게임 시즌 1에서 새벽 역을 맡았던 정호연입니다. 제가 이렇게 4년여 만에 오징어 게임 대형 숙소 세트로 돌아오게 됐는데요. 저한테는 정말 많은 추억이 있는 곳이라 굉장히 감회가 새롭고, 아직 새로운 시즌 오징어 게임 보지 않은 분들이 계시다면 바로 넷플릭스에서 확인해 주세요. 안녕.
Now, let's talk about the games in Season 3. For the 4th game, director Hwang revealed that he wanted to create a death match that literally resembled the Marbles game from Season 1, a game where characters were caught in extreme moral dilemmas. To capture this theme, Hwang chose to depict the set under a starry night sky, with the main concept being hide and seek. And as you can see, the maze structure was designed entirely from scratch, from all the different rooms to the walls and patterns. Hwang mentioned that the narrative of this game is about kids going home at sunset, and according to Chai Kyung-sun, the art director, the space was intentionally designed to resemble a playground for kids, but one that's been turned into something much darker and more threatening. She wanted to portray this area with an even more dramatic effect, and to do that, she had to work closely with cinematographers to make sure each room came to life as intended. A lot of work was put in to bring each of their colorful walls to life. That was done using different oil paintings and unique patterns, which she said were inspired by various children's sketchbooks that she studied for reference. Kyung-sun actually went on to reveal that each room in the maze was designed to reflect the characters' personalities, conflicts, and the events that unfold. For instance, we saw the room in which Junhee gave birth. According to Kyung-sun, the design of that room was inspired by the sea. The sea gave the director an impression of life's birth and a symbol of the amniotic fluid, and so it felt fitting to set those themes in the story while designing that scene. As for the 5th game, the jump rope, director Hwang revealed that he wanted to bring the male doll, Chul-soo, in this game. He specifically wanted Chulsu to appear alongside the female doll, as if the two were friends, but also to add an intriguing and mysterious atmosphere for the players. Notably, in the behind-the-scenes clips, we can see that the dolls are missing their torsos, but there's a long blue rod attached to each doll. This simple structure isn't a final design, it's a basic framework used to represent the dolls' torsos, which would later be built out in post-production. By using this simple design trick, the production team avoided the unnecessary work of building full physical structures. That allowed them to save both time and resources. The same applies to the rest of the game setting. As you can see, the bridge and the deep pit that lies below it in the series doesn't actually exist behind the scenes. Also, the bridge is not elevated the way it appears in the final footage. That's because elevating it would have been extremely dangerous for the actors and also a waste of time and budget. Instead, the bridge was surrounded by blue screen and bright lighting. That film magic allowed the team to separate game elements and incorporate them digitally during post-production. Now, you might be wondering, why did the production team use a blue screen when most films use green? Well, the answer is simple. The Squid Game players wear green outfits while playing. If a green screen had been used, the players would have blended in, making separation in editing nearly impossible. A blue screen was the better option in this case. It's also important to note that blue screens are less affected by lighting conditions or spill, whereas green screens require much more precise lighting setups, something that would have been tricky in a complex environment like this. It's been revealed that this particular bridge scene was one of the most difficult to film, and it took several days to finish. As for Gi-hun's actor, Lee Jung-jae, it was even more challenging for him because he had to cross the bridge while pretending to carry a baby. And in case you didn't notice, the actor isn't holding a real baby. It's actually just a sweater because let's be honest, putting a baby in that environment would have been dangerous. In fact, speaking of actors' safety, there's a particular behind-the-scenes shot of player 096 fighting Gi-hun on the bridge. If you look closely, you'll notice that the person portraying Gi-hun in this scene is not Lee Jung-jae, but actually a stunt double. While the exact reason for using a double in that moment isn't known, it was most likely a safety precaution, especially considering the intensity of the scene and the risk involved in performing it on set. Now, in the jump rope game, the visual storytelling surrounding character deaths was imbued with profound symbolism, particularly in the case of Junhee's passing. As she lies on the floor, the backdrop is adorned with intricate floral designs, deliberately crafted to frame her death with a sense of serenity and grace. Unlike the other fallen players, whose bodies are positioned at angles that obscure the floral patterns, Junhee's placement intentionally highlights the blossoms. According to the art director, she wanted to portray Junhee's death as a peaceful departure that sets her apart. It was her decision to transform the floor into a canvas that underscores Junhee's tranquil exit, enveloping her in an aura of eternal rest. Now for the sixth game, the Sky Squid, the series creator admitted that he struggled to decide what this final game would be. That's because Season 1's final game was Squid Game itself, a game that became the symbol of the entire series. So Hwang decided to manipulate the shapes from Squid Game, which are also the symbols of the show, and installed them as tall pillars. He imagined gameplay similar to trench combat, where players would target and push weaker ones to eliminate them, all for the survival of the rest. But Hwang didn't forget the core theme of the series, fairness in the games. He intentionally included a democratic element, where players vote among themselves to decide who to eliminate. This made the game not just physical and psychological, but also added interesting social dynamics. In the behind-the-scenes footage, we can see that the production used short pillars instead of the 25-meter versions seen in the final cut. This decision helped prevent danger to the actors and also save time and construction costs. The additional depth of the pillars was added later using CGI. However, Gi-hun's fall scene was handled a bit differently. The team built a circular pillar about 4 meters tall specifically for this shot. It was used to film the wide shot of Gi-hun falling. Actor Lee Jung-jae performed the stunt himself, as you can see him falling slowly, supported by safety wires. And here's a small detail that many viewers may have completely missed. In the spot where Gi-hun lands, a small flower and tiny weed can be seen beside his motionless body. Interestingly, these plants were intentionally added before filming the scene. Director Hwang said he wanted them to spark a sense of ambiguity in the audience. He left the interpretation open, whether it's a sign of hope, a lifeline, or something else entirely, that's up to you. Looking back at the show, from season 1 to the final season, you can't help but appreciate the incredible effort the actors, stunt teams, and the entire crew invested to bring this masterpiece to life. And no matter how the final story played out, it's clear that Squid Game will always hold a lasting place in people's hearts.